Hey sis, welcome to the Sisterhood, Soul, and Strategy podcast, a space for women building businesses that feel as good as they look. I'm Steph, a small town girl from Wisconsin with big dreams to positively impact the world. This podcast is from the heart, where we share real conversations about building intentional businesses that thrive in every season. And the best part, we talk both soul and strategy, and we wrap it all up in sisterhood. Because let's be real, business is more fun in community. So no matter your age or stage of small business ownership, you stumbled upon this podcast for a reason. Now, let's get to the good stuff. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I'm so excited to be joined today by Michelle Egbert, who is a seasoned entrepreneur. She has an incredible framework we're going to get into, and just a really cool story and journey through entrepreneurship. So let's start there.
Perfect.
Take us through, you have so many years of experience working with small business owners, being in small business owner land, and take us through your journey and how it has led you to where you are now.
Perfect. Well, when I started my career, I worked for someone. I think most of us have. And an opportunity presented itself to be an entrepreneur and work with someone else and have that partnership. And what I discovered is, wow, you can be a lot more creative, do a lot more things, and work with small business owners who really are engaged and are doing what they love to do versus just being stuck in that corporate world. So over time, I think skills we're building. What I found was that most entrepreneurs lose their lack of purpose, lose their path, because they are pulled in so many different directions.
Totally.
And the shiny object syndrome, we're like, oh, that sounds so good. And I've been there. I mean, I was a point in my life where I was taking everything on, especially when people say, oh my gosh, Stephanie, you'd be so good at this. And you do it. And then you realize over time, like for me, I was like, wow, I am overloaded. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I've lost my direction. And I think that's where I help most of entrepreneurs is really take a step back and make sure they're doing what they love to do. And it is really the purpose that wanting to do. But then also the framework helps them decide, what are my key priorities? And what are the habits or processes that I should create, not just create, but that are essential for me to save time and money so I can have that balance between personal and professional life. Especially as women, there's just so many opportunities for us that we take those and then we have children, we get married, whatever that might be, or divorced and your life changes, right?
Yeah.
Making sure there's always that balance, there's always that peace. But I think the biggest part was realizing that when you do that and you have that balance, the people, the networks, the communities just kind of show up. And now they're actually helping you and guiding you along that path.
Yeah. Will you take us to a pivotal moment along your journey when you maybe felt like you lost your purpose and had to refine it again?
Yeah.
Just so we can see that this is normal for all of us, even the people that are helping the entrepreneurs. We have to find that guiding light over time as well.
Yeah. So about 5-7 years in my entrepreneurship, I was on 2 women's boards. One was Women in Project Management and the other was a business association. And on that board, we met the night before our conference. So it was an annual conference that was 3 days long. We met about midnight that evening. So I was already exhausted. I was tired. I was by myself, got into that elevator to go to my room. And that was like an aha moment for me. I had the realization that I didn't know where I was going. I actually said, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? I felt lost. I realized I was on a journey, but not the journey that I felt connected to. And I really had to sit down and think of that journey, which was difficult in the middle of the night to do that. But I did realize that the key priorities, the things that I wanted to do, fulfill that purpose, were not what I was doing. So I had to make a conscious effort to make a change. Because sometimes we're stuck in that. We're just like, you know what? We'll just keep going. We'll just keep going. I had to uncommit myself from some things and not recommit and really know what my why was and stay on that path and just say, okay, are these key priorities that I really want to stay with? And when opportunities came, I had to make sure I was okay saying no.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the hardest thing.
That's the hardest part. Yep.
Say no, but you want to say no to the things you should say no to.
Yes.
But what also, I was not saying yes to the things that I should have been saying yes to.
Sure.
A lot of opportunities were coming. And I think once you have that focus of where you're going, you're going to see more things. Analogy would be, let's say you're going to buy a Toyota that's red, right? You may never seen a Toyota on the road, but also now you're seeing all these red Toyotas coming at you because now you're focused. So when your path is there, you know what your why and your purpose is, you're going to see all those opportunities that you never saw before. And that was the realization to me is once I had that down and once I had that focus, now I say take that off ramp and you get lost again, at least you can get back on. At least you know how to get back on. But it's the people, the communities you involve yourself with will also help you get back on. It's just such a wonderful community, that triangle effect where you're just balanced. You're balanced. We'll all get off, but how do I get back onto that balance?
Well, let's talk to that triangle because that is your framework for success and finding that in your own life and business. I think they intertwine as we've kind of talked about as well. Take us through how you discovered that framework. And how do we apply that?
I think the first one was that elevator. I realized I did not have my purpose. So once I had that, I was like, okay, how do I get there? And that's where you're like, okay, what are the building blocks? What are those milestones that I have to do first? So during that discoveries, you really have to rediscover your purpose. Because it's pivotal, it's fluid, it's going to change in your life. It's not set in stone. Most people think, okay, this is where I'm going and this is how I'm going to get there. But life is going to take you on different paths. It's going to wind. It's going to be like going through those mountain passes, right? That's when I first discovered I did not have a path. I did not have a purpose, and also what to say no to. What are the things that are going to get me there? But in order to say no to those things, I had to know what my key purpose was, my key milestones to get me there. All the other things fell into place. So once I discovered that, so when I meet with small business owners, first, I actually like to get to know them first. What is their authentic self? Because a lot of times you'll get an idea and you're like, I'm going to go do this. But if it's not you, and you don't adjust it. I do a lot of reading, I have mentors in my life, but I also have books that have mentored me. I initially tried to take all of their concepts and just flow it through, but it wasn't authentic to me. And it wasn't authentic to the customer or to the business or to their employees because I work a lot with their staff as well. So once I discovered, okay, let's relook your purpose. If you don't have one, let's get one defined and let's see what those key milestones are going to be to get you there. And then all the other processes or habits, they're going to help you be more effective, more efficient. So you have more time to be creative, to hit those milestones and to achieve your purpose. But also, how do I hire the right people at the right times that are going to keep that community, keep that culture that I've created as a small business? That is the hardest thing when you're a solopreneur.
Totally.
You're afraid to bring somebody in because you're like, if I bring this person in, they may change my culture. They may do different things. So we have techniques. You know, you can look at what their DISC profile is or things like that. You have them take that test and say, okay, they would fit culturally this way or that way. But I think that is the biggest mistake that I have found, that entrepreneurs really have a written purpose, a vision, but they're not following it. They haven't reevaluated it. Also, their culture, their people, their staff is also not committed to it either. So revisit it personally and then with your staff, and then make sure they all understand where we're going, how we're going to get there, and how they contribute to that vision, to that purpose, and to hitting those key priorities along the way.
Let's talk to priorities. How do we figure out what they are? You shared a really great analogy with me in our conversations with the jar. Will you talk us through that? Because I think if listeners are just listening to this podcast, you can still get the visual of how to discover your priorities. Hey, it's just me here interrupting the podcast to tell you about my favorite cup of tea and why this is such a ritual for me daily. I love the Rosarium from Inner Garden Botanicals, pouring it from my little tea brewer here. And for me, this just brings presence, peace, and calm to my day. It's a really simple yet essential piece of my evening routine. And I've even started drinking it more throughout the day, which if you know me, I've always been a caffeine addict. And so this forces me to reduce my caffeine intake, slow down, enjoy and savor this beautiful cup of tea. I love the loose leaf blends from Inner Garden Botanicals, and I absolutely love everything that this company stands for, which is all about rituals, presence, peace, which is what I'm all about, and how we can support ourselves in the seasonalities of life. If you want to try out Inner Garden Botanicals, you can get 20% off your first order when you use my code SOULSISTER20 today. Cheers to bringing in some incredible rituals into our day today that support us and ground us in the present moment, like Inner Garden Botanicals. Hey sis, did you get your ticket yet for Sister Circle Summit 2026? If not, what are you waiting for? This is so much more than just your average, and dare I say, boring business conference. This experience of Summit is a Midwest movement bringing together the trailblazing women small business owners across the Midwest and beyond for a 2-day experience that is so much deeper than just strategy, and also more than just sitting and listening to speakers. You are going to feel the difference this year. We're at a brand new venue. We have a brand new schedule and flow. We've added brand new pieces to this event, like our soul session and VIP mastermind dinner. So if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, now is the time to do so. Invite your fellow sisters or come solo because you're going to make so many new friends. There is so much intentionality behind this event, from the sisterhood connections to the soul level subconscious work we're going to dig into, as well as, we're always delivering you business strategy in real time. So what are you waiting for? Go to sistercircle.co, get your ticket today, use my code STEPH, and save on your ticket, and I hope to see you there.
So once you have your purpose, you know where you're going. It has to fit into you personally, professionally, but it also has to fit in with your core beliefs. So you want to make sure that everything that you do is you. Is self. When I talked about that analogy in the elevator, there's that jar theory where you're filling up your jar with all the things that you can do in life, and you're full, you're busy, you're completing tasks. I'm not saying when you don't have your purpose that you're not being effective.
Right.
And you're doing
you're still
things.
Getting things done.
You're getting things done, and you're
Just
learning.
Might not be the right things.
Correct. So it's not something that you can sit down and say, okay, I got it all.
Yep.
It's something you have to keep relooking at. Okay, if I want to, let's say, for example, you split your purpose and where you want to go, and you split it into 3 categories. So physically, what do I want to do to achieve that? What do I want to do mentally? What do I want to learn? What do I want to do? And then spiritually, what is going to really fill me? You kind of have to split it into those 3 categories and just say, okay, what is my key priority personally in this area? What is it professionally for my staff, for myself, if you're a solopreneur, or if you're doing a side hustle?
Yeah.
How do I keep that balance and know my work is pulling me way over here and my side hustle is pulling me over here? How do I blend those 2 together? So an example would be, if, let's say physically, it's like I need enough time in my life to have time for myself. It might be walks in the morning, it might be walks in the afternoon. What is my key priority to do that? And scheduling time on your calendar to do that. But how do I provide that for my staff? How do I allow them to do that? To maybe longer lunches, things like that. I mean, these are really simple priorities that you can do in your life. But the other, as far as priorities, is what are some things that I can do in my business that I can automate? What are some of these things? And that could be when like this year, my priority is to set processes and habits in my life, processes in my business that's going to save me time and save me money. Simple as, I do this activity every morning, record yourself doing it, and say, now who could do this for me?
Yeah.
And a lot of small businesses are like, okay, but I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to hire somebody.
That's the biggest resistance to bringing in help. So how do you combat that?
Your priority would be, I'm going to put myself in places where I can barter with somebody. So let's just have what I have done. I do not like to do social media. I don't want to learn at this stage in my life. So I bartered with somebody else, or we change time.
Yeah.
So we'll do so much social media for me, and I'll provide the business acumen for what they need. And you can do that for a while. And then all of a sudden now you've freed up so much time and you can hire somebody to do that. You've already decided, you put a process in place and how it's going to be done. And somebody can just step in. But when you do that also, you have to realize when you hire somebody and they come in, they may not do it exactly the way that you do it.
The hardest part.
It's okay, as long as the end result's the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest part as an entrepreneur, to let it go.
Yeah. Giving up.
Giving it up.
That control.
Of that control. But that's where you hire the right person, to where most entrepreneurs hire them the same that they are.
Yeah.
You need a balance.
Yes.
If you're high entrepreneur dream vision and you're not that analytical to the tasks, it really takes you out of your comfort zone, that's who you need on your staff, or that's who you're going to hire or work with, that you're going to barter with to get that balance in your life. Once they do that, they realize how much extra time they have in the day to really focus on that creative side, to focus on writing your book, or to focus on getting new clients, or whatever that might be, or sitting down doing a podcast, whatever that might be.
It's time, and it's also energy. energy.
It's
Like
energy.
thinking of how draining doing those tasks can be that are not working in our zone of genius.
Yeah.
We get back so much energy to focus on the things that actually fill us up and light us
Yeah.
up. And that's how we avoid burnout.
Right.
Because I'm sure you've seen that a lot too with business owners, is just hitting that point where they don't want to do anything because they're so overwhelmed and exhausted, and especially being women and having kids and being moms and all of those things. So you really do help business owners discover those pain points and then figure out how can we get past these.
Yeah. And we work together on those.
Yeah.
I don't just say, here's your formula, go running with your framework, because it is theirs. We have to create the framework together.
Yes.
And some of them have pieces. We just figure out where there's a disconnect.
Yeah, I love that. Well, share with me some of your core beliefs and some of the lessons that you've learned along the way, because I'm sure being a seasoned entrepreneur, there's some key things that really stand out to you.
So core belief, there's lots of different core beliefs that have changed over time. So when I was in my 20s, the things that who I was and what I did in my 50s are different as well. This stage of my life, my core belief is really family. I have to make sure that I have enough time for my family. So whatever it is that I do, I have enough time to spend with my husband. I have a 13-year-old at home as well, but also to spend it with my older children.
Yeah.
And so whatever I choose to do, I want to make sure that I show up present in those moments. And so one of my core beliefs is you need to know where you're off balance.
Yeah.
My core belief is to really look at yourself and it's very hard to take a really hard look at yourself. Is just to be authentic, to show up, be who I am, and it's okay. So one of my core, everybody needs to do that. When I meet with entrepreneurs, I want to make sure that they can be themselves and they're comfortable, and you can tell when you're out of that area.
Yep.
One of my other core beliefs is trust. There has to be mutual trust for things to work. Trust in your family, trust in saying how you feel, trust in having that safe environment. The other is part of my core beliefs is you have to take care of your body.
Yeah.
And I realized later in life, you really have to take time for yourself, taking that time for mental awareness, taking time for that physical part, whatever it might be. One of the other core beliefs that I feel is faith. You have to have some type of groundingness that's outside of yourself that really you bring in, whatever that might be, but dedicating time almost every day to that.
Yeah.
And I feel that everyone needs to have a routine. But I also have discovered that if you get too stuck in your routine, one of my beliefs is you have to be able to shift and pivot. And you're okay. Adaptability.
Yes, it's huge.
It's one of my core beliefs, but it's the hardest thing for me to do is because I'm a very structured type person. So part of my beliefs, I need to become adaptable. So I believe I need to put myself in those places to be adaptable, to stretch that. And it really has become one of my beliefs that I need that in my life because I'm actually balanced when I am adaptable.
Yes.
Stress, but I get adaptable and it's better for me.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned, whether it was from working with someone else, maybe you saw them make a big mistake that you're like, hey, I'm never going to make that mistake, or just personally?
One of the lessons that I learned at a very young age, I don't know, I was very, very introverted. I was not comfortable around people. And one of the lessons that I learned is I relied too much on other people to satisfy my comfort zone.
Sure.
So one of the lessons I learned is you have to put yourself out there. You have to put yourself in situations that you are uncomfortable with. So early on in my career, around 2022, I had a mentor that I worked with heavily. And when he passed away, I was like, what do I do? I am totally lost. I don't know how to be me. What is me? So the lesson I learned is you really need to understand yourself. You really need to take some time to know that. But put yourself in areas where you want to grow. Force yourself to do those things where you need to stretch and you need to grow. Because if you don't, you're not going to grow as a person. You're just going to stay that same level. And once you do it, it's such a realization. It's like an aha moment. But you don't always have to put yourself in those situations. So I have an extreme fear of heights. So I put myself in a situation and I started doing Spartan races to put myself on these obstacles.
Oh, yeah. The ones where you're climbing and
other people, things are shaking. I did it for a few years and I said, okay, I'm good. I'm never going to overcome this fear, but I'm much more comfortable with it and knowing when to say no. So I'm not going to do this anymore. But putting yourself out there and being vulnerable is a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I love being an entrepreneur, pushing myself physically helps me as an entrepreneur because if I can physically challenge myself, I know whatever I take on in business, I can handle.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. So at this stage in your life and your career and your business and your family, what are you most excited about?
Oh, just so many opportunities. I feel like my purpose has been reevaluated. So this is the stage of my life where I've readjusted my purpose to a point where I feel confident that I can do what I need to do. And every door that I step through is an opportunity that I need to pivot. So I'm really excited about what's to come.
Yeah.
There's so much time left to do those things. And I'm very excited. Once I've opened that, when I talked about the analogy of the Toyota, I'm starting to see these things that I never saw before. Again, can say no to them, but I see all these opportunities that are coming. I'm excited.
So what is your purpose in this age and stage of life?
Is to share. I think the hardest thing with me is who wants to listen to me? Like, what do I have to give?
Everyone listening to this podcast right now.
Right. So I feel my purpose for the next few years or whatever that might lead me to is just to really share my ups, my downs, things that may help somebody understand their journey and how to reevaluate themselves to really get them to get that balance in their life. So I'm excited to share opportunities for them to be able to rediscover themselves and the journeys that I went through, the ups, the downs, things that I made mistakes at that they could maybe learn from. But most importantly, make it themselves. I'm just excited about that opportunity. That's a good word, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. So much goodness to come. So how can we reach out and connect with you, whether that's for support, to learn, to implement your framework? Where can we find you?
Well, I do have a book that will be coming out. So Framework for Success with that 3P, kind of 4P protocol. But they can go to frameworkforsuccess.net and they can schedule a free 30-minute consult. It's a questionnaire that you fill out and we just get on a call. We talk about your pain points and see if there's a mutual connection. And sometimes I just give advice right there on the call so they can move forward. The other things that they can do too is we can actually consult and see where those areas and where you need assistance in those areas.
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you so much. We're so excited to have you on the podcast today. And thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, sis, if this episode spoke to you, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our weekly conversations that drop every Monday. And would you share this with a fellow sister that needs to hear this message too? If you're craving sisterhood, soul, and strategy in action, I'd love for you to step inside our Sister Circle community, where we gather, grow, and build intentional businesses together in real life and real time. I promise, business is more fun in sisterhood. Until next time, keep leading with soul, honoring your season, and don't forget, I'm always cheering for you.